at the same time. You're exactly right. Let's imagine that you wanted to broadcast into a group a specific webinar or a specific event where you have 4 people that are having a conversation about something, right? Well, there aren't a lot of options with that. If you went simply into Facebook and tried to do a Facebook Live where you wanted to have 4 people in a room with you, where you guys all have discussions and you guys can all share your screens, there is no option for that in just going to Facebook Live alone. And the only other options around for that are Zoom. And with Zoom, of course, you can do all that, but you have to pay extra for Zoom to even get that feature, which you have to do with our system. But Zoom doesn't have. Zoom has meeting rooms, webinars, and then this being able to push to Facebook Live. They do not have being able to push to YouTube Live. They only do it to Facebook Live. Ours does all of it, and we make it more accessible in our packaging. So the only other tool that's out there right now that will do all of this in the best way possible is Zoom. But even then, they don't allow you to push broadcasts of recordings out and then record all that and then allow you to use that for automated webinars. We do, because Zoom doesn't have the automated webinar stuff. It doesn't have the sales experience funnels that ours do, the automated webinar funnels, right? Which are basically pre-recorded sessions that are streamed in real time with the experience of live, without you having to be there, without you having to run them every single time. And that's how people are really scaling up their businesses with our system. Whether I'm not just necessarily talking about, major businesses. Like, some people use our system and they're doing basically 8 figures, pushing into 9 figures. Some are doing 7 figures, and some people are doing 5 and 6 figures using our system, but they are still using our system to basically be the platform that pushes out relevant content in the best way, the content in the best way, which is webinars. Webinars, in my opinion, are the best way. So, and now I am actually easy webinar first, Zoom podcast this out, going live with easy webinar, talking all sorts of fun stuff. New features, benefits, and more. Okay, now I'm going to go live. There we go. Now we're going live. We're going live inside of Facebook. So now we're live inside of Facebook. We're live inside of YouTube. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. And we're live inside of Easy Webinar. So in case you're going to take this to IPO one day, I want it. Well, cool. Well, we'll discuss, Bill. We'll discuss. Yes, guys. So this is how we're basically effectively using it. And for those who are watching now on Facebook, because now I'm pushing it to Facebook, I just wanted to give clarity. We've been talking about what products can do this. So we are using our EasyCast platform, which is a syndication tool that pushes our live stream from Easy Webinar. This is a live broadcast, a live video, into Facebook and into YouTube at the same time. YouTube Live and Facebook Live at the same exact time. And a lot of people were asking when we built this. So in 2017 is when in 2016 we started to create the live experience, right? So we really started diving in more into the live. In 2017, we launched a new live engine that we call our live engine, which is our HD high definition, same thing, no latency streaming that allow you to share your screen, have up to 4 presenters all sharing their screens, any number, or all sharing their camera and audio. Any number of those people can share their presentations. Now, soon, and in the roadmap, we're going to have up to six people that can share their cameras and audio, and up to 15 additional people that can share their audio. So 21 people will be able to be in a room that's doing a broadcast, basically, and then unlimited number of people watching that broadcast. So we could still have the unlimited number of people that are watching that specific broadcast as a webinar, but then inside the room we can have up to 21 people where they can share their video. Some can share their video, and a lot of them can listen in and speak, right? And I think that and any attendee at the moment and in the future will be able to be moved into a presenter. Okay, so these are some things that we're going to be launching out very soon. But and that's right now. However, if you're right now we do that. So if you want to have 4 presenters in the room, I can easily bring anybody from being a participant, anybody in the as an attendee, and move them into becoming basically a presenter, right? Or I'm the host, and then I bring a co-presenter in, and you can share your video, you can share your audio, and you can ask questions. And then as me, the person who's who's the admin, I can basically send that person out and bring a new person in. Yeah, 4 including me. So it's only 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be 2 on top, 2 on bottom. That's the flow of how it would look, basically, right? So yeah, so that's basically the flow and process of how this works. And now I'm looking now inside Facebook, and everything is, yep, there we go. So it's all working fine inside of Facebook right now. Cool. So yeah, so this is how the flow works. And all 4 can share the slides, they can share video, and so on and so forth. But not at the same time. You can't all share video at the same time. That would be mad havoc, right? Only one at a time can share their stuff, right? So as an example, what I'm going to do right now is how many people are Easy Webinar users in the room right now? I'd love to find out. Just put a thumbs up in the chat if you are, or say not yet if you are someone who has been looking at it. I wanted to answer questions. Today, I really wanted to. I'm starting. Bought it. Awesome, Isabella. Sam, not yet. Bree is a thumbs up. Vonda is not yet. Zoom, but going to Easy Webinar, says Bill. Cool. So I wanted to really get some questions answered to you. So a lot of times, like, people will ask, what really is the differentiator for Easy Webinar as a tool, as a platform? What is the differentiator? Well, it depends on who we're comparing it to, and it depends on what you need to know about our mission and value set. So we feel that right now there are changes that are happening in the way people market their business, right? There's so much competition out there. Everybody is basically everybody is an expert, and everybody is competing. And it can feel overwhelming, and it can almost feel, because of the stats and data out there, that there's more than 1.5 billion web pages in the world today, and more media being uploaded, and everybody, as I said, is an expert at something. There's so much that's going out. In fact, obviously, if anyone's been watching Tony Robbins and Dean and Russell, there's a new product out in the market all around creating a mastermind, right? And if you look at that, that really they show how it's right now it's all about packaging your knowledge, and more people are doing that every single day. And so with that, sales funnels are very powerful, or very, very powerful, for obviously bringing people through an experience. But what we've found is that because of the popularity of sales funnels, there is also this thing we're seeing, where falling short, right? It's not just about a sales funnel anymore. You can't just bring someone to a landing page. Now it has to feel like you're having a conversation, like you're creating like a level of engagement. You're creating a level of intimacy. You're creating a level of experience, and not just a sales process, right? You need a sales experience, and that's where we want to be in the forefront. We want to be right at the front in that sort of push into creating a better, more intimate experience, but taking that intimate experience and scaling it up. And so that's why we put all of our eggs in the basket of webinars, right? Because webinars, we feel, for whether you're doing live streaming like this, or you're using past live stream experiences and pushing them out as automated webinars, evergreen, basically, right? That will stream in real time with the experience of live without you having to be there. Whether you're using one or the other, we want to be at the forefront, ushering you in to give you a better process for selling your products and services, coaching, for basically helping you to onboard your clients and customers in a better way using the power of webinars, whether it's live or automated webinars. And that's what our big mission is. So we have a lot of cool things that are going to be coming down the pipeline. And we have a very unconventional story, because we started off as a WordPress plugin so many years ago and evolved into a full SaaS platform where we host everything for you, right? And basically, in 2016, we started hosting everything ourselves, and then in 2017, our new live stream application came out. Right? In 2018 is the first time we finally started to roll out a monthly recurring revenue model in our business, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Before then, we sold lifetime applications, all sorts of stuff, and it's just been really amazing to see how things have changed for us as we rolled out this monthly platform. So we have a very unconventional sort of story background, origin story, compared to a lot of other SaaS platforms who probably start right out of the gate with a free trial or start out of the gate with a monthly recurring revenue model. So in that regard, we're very unique, very different. So it's been great to see how this has worked. And actually one of my most favorite things seen are the people we've helped to basically scale up. They've come to our platform and they've been able to do amazing things with our system. Amy Porterfield is a great example. She has 3 webinars running through our system. All of them are automated webinars that are basically the backbone to selling those particular products. And then she backends everybody into a Kajabi membership platform. I really like the experience when you're obviously live with us, but also want the capability to create some evergreen content. And Vonda, yeah, exactly. The evergreen experience is wonderful, because what we want to have happen is that we want the evergreen experience to have the experience. We want it to feel live. In fact, it is live. When you stream a webinar through our system and it's pre-recorded, it's streamed in real time. So if someone comes a bit late to it, like 5, 10, 20 minutes, they don't start at the beginning. That would be just a video. Ours is playing in real time, right? And why that's different than just a replay is that the webinar has a higher value because it requires a higher commitment. And if you show up to that commitment, that means you're there and you're watching, right? And so we see that higher commitment through the evergreen process. A lot of people ask us, well, Casey, why would I use an evergreen webinar? Why wouldn't I just send someone straight to a replay video or straight to a page that has a replay, a broadcast on it? Because 9 out of 10 times people fast forward video. People fast forward a replay, right? But when they have to register and go through a process of like experiencing what you do, like as an example, you have someone register on the thank you page. You have a video that really talks about how, thank you for signing up. I'm really excited that you're going to be coming to this webinar. You want to show up to this webinar because it's going to, create clarity on X, Y, and Z. Also, I'm going to have a free gift available for you. So the process of a webinar is a funnel, right? It's a funnel. It's a registration page, thank you page, countdown page prior to the event starting. This is real estate that you can use that could be dedicated as a funnel. The emails that before the event starts, you could seed your authority in that process, right? Finally showing up to the webinar, right? Have a text message going out and reminding them to show up. All this can be done on automated and live with Easy Webinar. And that's the cool thing about our system, is that Zoom doesn't have the marketing capacity, nor does GoToWebinar. It doesn't have all the pages. It doesn't have all those the funnel elements. And as an example, it doesn't have a replay page that can be where you can actually expire the replay page based on when you want an offer to end, right? Well, our system does, right? So basically, people are always wondering, well, so your system is a webinar platform. That's great. I can sell my stuff on it. But like GoToWebinar, do I have to integrate it with other, platforms and things like that? The answer is no. Easy Webinar works on its own. We have pages, we have all the pieces of a funnel, but some of our customers will come in and they will use their existing lead pages, their existing ClickFunnels landing pages, Unbounce, whatever you're using, or maybe your custom designed landing page, but you put the Easy Webinar registration box right there on the page, and then it takes you in, and you can use our thank you page, our live page, our countdown page, our replay page. We give you the capacity to just use our own holistic system so that you can generate sales and leads and scale that up. And a lot of people will just use our own stuff, but some of them, because we wanted to make this available, they will use their existing marketing landing pages and even thank you pages, but use us when it comes down to showing that that webinar. We are the they use our system for that. So they register someone through our widget. They even can use their own thank you page. But by the time they come to the countdown page and the event, that's hosted by Easy Webinar, and then of course the emails as well, right? And because we can do it at scale, right? Why are some of your pages ClickFunnels? Well, so no, we've tested it out ourselves. So we have one of our registration pages is a ClickFunnel page, and then it goes to an Easy Webinar thank you page, et cetera, et cetera. Our sales page was ClickFunnels probably like 2 years ago, or last year, I think it was ClickFunnels. But that's only because we believe in that tool as well. We have friends over at the ClickFunnels guys, and we've done some training with ClickFunnels and for ClickFunnels. So that's why. But when it comes to the stream, we're the tool that does the stream, right? We're the tool that does the live stream, and we're also the tool that does the automated webinar because it plays in real time with the experience of live. Very few platforms on the market will actually do that. So that is basically what we do. And as I said, some of the coolest new features that, of course, are out is our EasyCast, which is streaming this to both YouTube Live and Facebook Live at the same time, and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty cool thing. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to go in and share a presentation. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to share my presentation. So let me dive into here. I'm going to select from my library. And actually, I'm going to do that right now. Sell your courses. Here it is right here. Bam. Open the file. There we go, right there. So I've talked to you guys today about this before. How many of you seen this this presentation before? Put your thumbs up in the chat if you have. I wanted to answer some clear questions for you guys. And for those of you who may be watching from Facebook, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the link basically for this broadcast. So one second. Let's go in and let me share the link for this broadcast. Let me edit this. Edit video. All right. There we go. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post it right here. There. I posted the link underneath. So if you guys want to join this particular session, it's and you're in Facebook, that is how you can join right there inside of Facebook. So cool. Leave this page. So there we go right there. So anyway, now I'm going to go in. And for Facebookers, if you want, you can click on that link and join me in the room. We're live right now. So feel free to join me. I'm going to end the broadcast in Facebook and YouTube. For YouTubers, you can actually just go over to Facebook and see it there, and then we can basically get people in this room from here. And for those inside Easy Webinar, this is a really great way to build your email list by doing a little bit of a webinar tease out to Facebook prior to getting to the sort of meat, or share the meat in the Facebook broadcast. But the cool thing is that if you're trying to build your email list, you want to get more people showing up, you can broadcast this out to Facebook, share the link to join you in the actual live room, or maybe they want to be a guest, inside the live stream. You bring them into here, and then you can unlock them as a guest. So it's a really cool way to encourage people to ask questions or get questions answered through this process and medium. Have you ever thought about that? Can we have an evergreen webinar go live on a schedule inside Facebook or YouTube? So it's not so the evergreen webinar, you can push a webinar out that is pre-recorded, but you have to start it live first, and it's effectively considered a hybrid. So as an example, I could be, I don't know if you guys are in Facebook right now, but I'm streaming this to my home, my Casey, facebook.com/Casey Zeman online page, right? There's probably only 2 people watching or 1 person watching right now. But if what I can do is I can actually not just share this. If you go, you'll see that my full presentation is up, and there's a circle of me in the corner. And we've optimized that so that the experience is the best when you have your presentation up, when you're inside of Facebook. Also, for a replay, we've done that as well. So there's no white space or dead space, basically, when it's broadcast as a replay, or in one of the social platforms. So, but the cool thing is, you would start a webinar like this, you'd go live, but then you'd immediately, Bill, just to answer your question, you can share a video. So as an example, I'm going to now quickly share a past session, so you get to feel this. Okay, so very quickly, right now I'm gonna share a past session where I'm actually, weirdly enough, wearing the same shirt, but without the t-shirt. So here, watch. Okay, I'm gonna share this, and now give a second.
Sorry
for
missing about 5 minutes of not recording.
Okay, now so what's going to happen is going to play the video
based on split testing.
And I just went from my presentation to the video.
Recorded webinars versus
so let the media load. There it is right there.
Less
effective, now you probably hear me and this guy.
You know
above.
what's really interesting
is
I
that,
turn my
I don't know
video
if you know
off,
what Teachable is, but
it's going to, if I turn this video off,
well,
Facebook is another
share this
platform that's a membership-based
this
platform,
video,
right?
And so
they use
streams in real time.
Webinar.
So
In
yes,
fact,
you can stream it in.
So I'm
going to turn my video off.
Easy Webinar event over a period of time.
Okay, so my video is now off. And if you go to Facebook,
Evergreen,
you would
and
see
their conversions
that
were actually
literally just
higher
the video. But
than
I
what
could
they
also
do
mute
on
my
their
microphone
live
and just have the
webinars.
video talking.
Which is crazy.
Okay, now that can get a little crazy. It's probably difficult to, to hear both of us talking at the same time. So I'm not going to keep that going. But that is how that process works, right? And so if I just look inside of Facebook, yeah, it's showing that video basically. So that's how this works. Now I'm gonna go back and get back and Back to the Future, right? Exactly. So now I'm gonna go back and share my slides like I was doing before, right? So I'm gonna go back, open the file back up. So now I'm going back into the slides, and now we're back. Okay. So this is how you could do it, and you could push offers at any moment, in real time through this. So basically, with our system, you can run hybrid experiences. So like, imagine that I did an intro and I was like, I'm so burnt out, my voice is going. I'm going to play a video of my previous live session that's going to do the selling for me. And I'm going to be in the chat answering questions, right? So that's kind of a cool way that you can do it as well. And it's all about giving your audience the best experience so that you can leverage your time in the best way possible. That's really what we care about. That's what we care about for you, because we know that your time is super valuable. We want to make sure that you are effective in pushing your message out there and getting bigger results, right? That's really our goal. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do a bit of a training on how to get leads and customers and sell your products and services and coaching 24/7 to 24/7 7, excuse me, leveraging one simple webinar. And I'm going to hint to that that the one simple webinar is, of course, having an evergreen webinar. My end game for all of you is to create an evergreen webinar that is selling your products and courses and services and high ticket programs, what have you, 24/7 without you having to be there, right? But you don't start there. And a lot of people, they don't know quite how to jump into this, right? They assume that they can immediately jump in, and depending on what you're doing, you can't. You have to work your way up. And with Easy Webinar, and what I want to show you today is I want to show you the methodology for working up to doing an automated webinar. The first thing you have to do is you got to go live. You got to go live, push that broadcast, face of fear, get out of your headspace, and screw up a little, right? You have to make those mistakes. You have to put yourself out there and potentially screw up. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people are so scared of even running a webinar or looking like an idiot. Like, some of the biggest fears are public speaking, looking stupid in front of people, and sounding like an idiot, right? But you know what? We all have to have that happen. We all have to allow ourselves and stretch ourselves to be able to steep in those experiences, because when you steep in those experiences, you get better, you get stronger, you get better as an advocate, as basically the ambassador of your product and program, right? And if you don't have that ambassadorship, if you don't have that energy, the excitement around putting your product out there, it's gonna work. You can work your way up to it, right? 90% of success is just showing up. Woody Allen. That's exactly right. So let's do this. Unless you have a reliable, duplicatable, scalable, and consistent way to bring in customers, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. Mark really said it right there. And if you're someone who's selling products, coaching, courses, programs, services, tell me what you're selling. Go and put in the chat. What is your business? What is it that you're pushing out into the world? Is it a coaching program? Is it a service? Is it a course? Maybe you already have a course. Maybe you want to charge higher prices for your course, or maybe here's what we see a lot of times. We see people that are starting out that charge $47 for a course, and then they're wanting to sell that on a webinar, and they don't charge enough, they don't have the right offer positioning, and they don't succeed with running webinars, right? And so there's something we like to encourage, and it's selling higher ticket price programs, right? Coaching, that's it. This is what I like to see. Coaching, great. Because that's really what we like to see. We like to see people using our system to push out high ticket coaching, mastermind programs, higher ticket products. Typically I'd say for a course, I like to see something that's anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a course. You can offer a membership, a membership program, but offer an annual, because that's what webinars are really great for. So you might as well use them for that. A lot of our people will use it to send people into a strategy call. From a strategy call, they'll sell them into a coaching program. In fact, we have a program that actually literally teaches that. We have a coaching program that's called our 6-week fast track program, which teaches people how to build out a high ticket sales experience leveraging Easy Webinar and automated webinars, from creating the right message to the flow and process to encourage people to get to the webinar, follow-up sequences that encourage people to show up to the strategy call, and every part of what we consider a way to filter the right audience by the time you get them on the phone call, right? It's that's what a webinar funnel is great for. It's a qualifier. Whether you're selling a product directly on the webinar or whether you're selling a coaching call, it is a qualifier. And that's really what is needed when you're working and trying to get a lot of people into a system and a business, right? That's the webinar is your sales tool. Yeah, the webinar is your sales tool. So what I'd like to do is I want to go in. How many of you, you know what? I have a desire here. Um, I can share one of two things. I can share my presentation that really touches on how to use how to get to your first 12,000 a month leveraging webinars. Like I can, in live webinars, I could teach that, or I could teach my 6 steps to a high converting sales webinar. How many of you would like to know 6 strategies for selling, for creating a high converting, basically sales webinar that sells your products and services? Would you like that training, or would you like the training on how to get to your first 12K a month leveraging webinars? Okay, so 12K. Okay, so you don't. Okay, so that's the one. All right. Oh wait, uh, no comma 12K or no 12K. You want the 6 steps. Say I want the 6 steps if you want the 6 steps. So I'm clear. Or I want the 12K. Okay, 6 steps, 12K. So we have a 12K. All right, 6 steps. We're basically running even right now. Man. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, if you want me to, here, I'll break down the 12. Here's what I'll do. I'll go in and show you the fastest way to do the 12 steps. Okay. Really quick. I'll go in real fast so you can kind of get this, right? All right. Ready? Here it is. I'm going to show you this real fast. Okay. All right. Here it is right here. Let me show you how to do 12K. Okay. And then we'll go from there. All right. Number one, number one is you need to charge a minimum of $1,000 for your product, programs, coaching, et cetera, right? Right. Bill knows this already because you came to a session that I created before where it says make one sale per week at 3K and you're done. Right. Or you make 3 sales at 1K, right? And so this is how I started off. I needed to do this because I couldn't get a ton of people showing up to my webinar. So this is how I did it. Now, that will require you to rethink your pricing structure, but you shouldn't be charging anything less than 500 to $1,000 anyway for a course. Okay. I mean, I don't, I won't say that. I won't actually say that. You can charge 300, 200, 100. But what I've noticed is that I started off as a course creator. I first sold my first course at 197, and I sold like 10 units at 197. I made 2,000 bucks, right? So great. I sold 2,000. I made $2,000, but I also had some refunds, and the caliber of people using that were buying weren't necessarily the best people, right? They were sort of the serial buy and refund, buy and refund. In fact, if you ask who are the people that refund the most of our system now, it's the ones that buy the lowest price products. So oftentimes the people that are, that maybe get some sort of sweet deal, they're the ones that will refund first over the people that pay premium or pay high, the more middle packages to higher packages. So again, the whole reason that you really want to sell, where your pricing is higher is for getting higher quality customers and different customers basically, and then how you justify it is through your results. So I want you to start thinking about this. As soon as I started taking my product from 197, I sold it for 297. I sold double what I sold at 197, and then I upped my price to 997 because I had somebody who was like, Casey, I'm going to promote you, but it has to be 997. So I had to figure it out and do it. But what was revealed when I did it is that I sold the same number of units at 997 as I did at 297, and and all I did is offer a different value proposition. So the offer changed slightly where I offered a coaching element, right? So that's what I encourage you to do. Think about how you can start to raise your prices up. The other thing is you want to get a minimum of 30 people showing up to your webinar per week. Now, do you feel like you could do this? All you need are 30 people showing up to your webinar, right? This is the fastest way to get to 12,000. First, charge at least $1,000. Next, get 30 people showing up to your webinar per week. Now, how do you do that? What's the way you're going to do that? Well, here's how. So you are finding JV partners, right? Find JV partners who are in a vertical niche similar to yours, and who you'll promote out to their existing communities. So these are people that have Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and places that don't promote products that may need to promote something such as what you have, right? Um, right. So your products, your services. So go to these admins, talk to them, and find out what would benefit them, and see if you can come up with some sort of joint venture partnership, right? Add value to their group. Show that you can add value to their group first before you connect, commit to, like, say, hey, would you promote me? Would you promote me? Right? First, get to know them, be a part of that group, discuss, be a part of the discussion, help show that you are the person that's answering a lot of questions that their people are needing, and then say, hey, I've noticed I'm getting all these questions about this, and I'm trying to be really responsive. Would you think it would make sense to do a training on this? Well, what do you think? So that would take an organ that would allow you to create an organic experience with some of these people, and then promote that out to promote your webinar, promote your product out to them. Another thing you could do is obviously to go to your own email list, and start, such as Facebook, Twitter, maybe Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, any of the above. If you have any social any basically, if you have an audience anywhere, go out to your existing audience or email list and get people on your list that way. Now, here's number 3 is paid ads. So, if you can do Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Google ads, they're great for finding targeted leads. You can get people basically into registering, right? Paid is my only way, right? Exactly. And if you can justify, this is the other reason why you want to have a higher pricing, is to justify basically your ad cost, right? And so if your ad cost is like, anywhere from $5 to $15 to $20 cost per lead, you're going to want to make sure that you're justifying the spend by having probably a higher ticket price product, and you need to then convert that, right? But that's basically how you do it, right? And I can guarantee that you can probably get 30 people showing up to a webinar on a weekly basis by doing basically one of these three things, right? One of these three things. Okay, let's push on. Here's a fourth one. Now, I'm doing this currently. I'm streaming into Facebook Live and YouTube Live at the same time. And this is actually adding people into this webinar, right? People are going into those streams, and they're seeing the stream, and they're wanting to maybe come into the room. Or what I can do is encourage them to come in the room if I stream out at a specific time, and they're like, yeah, wow, is this happening? I can see that he's in Facebook. And then I can say, hey, if you want to join me in the room, just click the link and you can come into the actual webinar room, right? This is a great way to build your email list. So go from Facebook Live into your own ecosystem, start adding people to your list, and bring them into the live room, and bring them maybe into the part of the discussion, open up their camera, and so on and so forth. You can do all this cool stuff, right? So that's number 4. And then you need to convert 10% of those who show up as customers or clients. Okay, 10% of those who show up. So if you can have 30 people showing up, and you sell 3 people into a $1,000 product, and you do that on a weekly basis, that looks like $12,000 basically a month. Okay. And the way that you would do this, the way you actually do get 10% conversion, is you would actually use Easy Webinar to do it. See, the cool thing about Easy Webinar is that it leverages a methodology that I call the event launch blueprint, which allows you to basically do this. Allows you to run live webinars, and then run a rebroadcast of that same event, right? It can be a pre-recorded session. So you can run the live webinar first, go into Easy Webinar, toggle that event over to stream out the next day a few times a day, right? And then after that, you set up the replay to only be available for, let's say, 3 days, right? And this is a launch scenario for creating the webinar, what I call the event launch blueprint, right? 100%, 10% is a bad Webby. LOL, need a better offer. Yeah, well, if you exactly 10% is what you want to be able to do. 10%, you should be able to sell more than 10% on a webinar. But I'm saying 10% gives you some wiggle room, right? And if you do this process, you should be able to pump it up to 15, 20% because you're doing a live webinar, rebroadcast, you get more sales through that process, and then the limited time replay. So this is the flow of doing the 12%. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go in and share because I said I would do this. So what I'm going to do is go in and share the 6 steps. Let me see if I have this, if this is the 6 steps right here. I just want to see if I have the 6 steps right here. I'm going to pivot and dive into uh, the 6 steps to a high converting sales webinar. So the very first thing I'm going to say is that this is the problem that I see. Send replay to convert the 80%ers. Yeah. Here's the problem. There's a divide between deciding to do a webinar and actually doing them, right? So I just showed you a way that you can get $12,000 a month leveraging webinars, selling basically 3 products, getting 30 people on your register for webinar on a weekly basis, right? Or showing up to a webinar on a weekly basis. That will get you to 12, right? But there's a reason why people don't do webinars. And typically it's because they see big name people doing webinars and it seems intimidating. They don't think webinars will work in their industry. They get overwhelmed with the tech. They don't want to look like an idiot. They have a fear of failing. They don't think they can make sales. They don't want to go live. I've seen all of this. And you might also feel that because of this, that if you've ever had your ear to the grindstone, you probably heard every reason why you won't succeed, right? That to profit with a webinar, you have to be a neurolinguistic expert or have public speaking experience. That if you run a bad one, or if the tech fails, then it can tarnish your reputation forever. And all this is simply hogwash. It's just not true. In fact, when I first started, I was doing terrible webinars. I mean, I'm a classic overstutterer. I was sharing. I would share way too much information, and I'd be all over the place. And that's typically how I would do webinars. But I still sold, right? I still made money on my webinars. Okay, tech only fails with webinar jam. Right. I hear you, Bill. I hear you. Um, so what I want to show you is that even if you're just starting out, you can succeed with this. So as an example, if for any of you, how many of you have ever learned webinar processes before? And I preface what I'm going to teach you just right now with this idea in mind. If you've learned any other webinar systems or processes, the thing about a webinar is that you can get training on slide by slide by slide as to what you need, but oftentimes it may not resonate with you personally, that methodology, or your audience. And so before I say you have to have slide 1 has to be this, slide 2 has to be this, slide 3 has to be this, you need to feel out what really is the best way to do it, right? Yes, from the best of the best, right? And if you've learned some of these strategies and you've applied them, have they always worked? Because here's an example. Here's Jody, who actually applied a training from a quote unquote guru as to how to do an awesome webinar. And when she applied it, she made no money. She felt inauthentic. She felt disconnected. And so I talked to her. I was saying, well, think about the things you've learned from that process, because the things you've learned from that process can be now applied to your own flow, because people are too sick of over salesy, too manipulative, and too fluffy. They want authenticity, and they want to know that you have a true desire to help people. And so I told her, what, try to go off of slides. Don't even use slides. Consider not even using slides and see what that does. And when she kind of found her own flow with this framework that I'm going to show you right now, she did about $19,000 on her webinar, and overall she did about 30 on this particular webinar. So I'm going to show this to you right now, and I preface this with this idea: is that a a webinar, to have success with it, it takes two things: sincerity and value. And if you have those two things, sincerity and value, you're going to succeed. But let me share with you the 6 steps here. This is the framework for running a profitable sales webinar. Okay. Now you guys can, you guys can start taking notes. You can take screenshots, whatever is going to make sense for you guys right now. Okay. Are people doing live webinars and Facebook Live at the same time? Bill, I think sometimes, but I think they're doing Facebook Lives as a way to broadcast out sort of interesting, better experience. And then a lot of times they're going into a Facebook group, right? Right now we're going into Facebook Live directly into my, right into my personal page. But many times over, people are going into Facebook groups and doing it that way, right? Yep. And I see Mike is here and a few other people are watching from the page itself. Cool. So yeah, so that's how people are basically using it. So here are the 6 steps, right? For a high converting sales webinar. Number one is create that buzz. All right, create that buzz. Now, what this simply means is, as an example, well, first off, the goal is build an expectation and anticipation which keeps them excited to stay to the end, i.e., give them glimpses of what they're going to learn and how it can benefit them. Can you see who attends on? See who attends? Attendees are on Facebook Live. Can you see which attendees? So that's a great question. I know I'm going from one thing to the next because Bill asked a really interesting question. So Bill, there's another tool that we own called Full Scope, which is a analytic tool for live video. So basically, we are going to be integrating that tool into Easy Webinar at some point, so that you would have the analytics to know who is showing up to your Facebook lives and also how engaged they are, and cross-reference that information with if they're joining and coming into the webinar. So we actually do have that tool. It is available. You go to fullscope.tv. I think we still have that tool. We were going to close it soon because we are about to start to roll that product into Easy Webinar. But it looks like we still have it up and running right now, so you could still get in there. And does Facebook Live analytics basically, right? So that's basically what it does. Fullscope.tv. Yeah. I could messenger. Yeah. Exactly. You could create experiences like that. That's exactly right. Then I could messenger. Yeah, that's true. You could probably create an HTTP post to know that they joined Easy Webinar and then message them back. Which actually you could probably do right now if you wanted to with the system. So when I was a kid, I went to the musical Cats, and at this musical, the characters came out into the audience, right? And they came out in the audience, um, and they would, rub up against you, and like they'd come out, and you're like, "What is happening? What is this show going to be about?" And it got you really excited about what was going to be happening in the show itself, because they created a buzz and excitement about it before it actually happened, right? Right before it actually took place. And so that's what you should be doing. By the end of this webinar, you will learn how you can use this 3-part system to start selling your products or services successfully to a hungry audience within 48 hours. Here are the action steps. You can welcome your attendees, tell them to close distractions, let them know that you're still waiting for more people to come in the room, and you can incentivize them to share news on your Facebook fan page. Everyone who does gets enrolled for a free gift, what have you, right? But the whole idea is that it creates a stick factor, right? So this can be 5 to 10 minutes long. You create a stick factor in the beginning of the webinar to keep them there. Yeah. Number 2 is getting personal. Now, this is where you're going to start to roll in your own story. And I don't know if you guys know my story, but mine was, I was an failed actor who became broke actor who became a failed mortgage broker when the market crashed. And then I jumped into creating a digital online course business, then pivoted from there into creating a software, sort of a software coaching company, right? Or media streaming company, whatever you want to call it. But the whole idea of getting personal is to start to reveal the pain of the audience, the problem, right? So it's the goal is to build a know, like, and trust, but also outline the overall problem that they might be facing. So either the itch that they need to scratch in the future or say right now. So note this, please, that the secret to sharing your own story is basing it on how it relates to your audience through empathy, right? It's not all about, it's not always about you, it's about them, but your story will relate to them. So, as an example, when I started out, I wasn't able to convert leads into sales, nor did I have a great way to collect leads in the first place. I was getting frustrated and almost went in foreclosure in the process. And that's how I bridge into, oh, yeah, that's me, right? So, action steps are talk about your own struggles and then share how you were able to overcome them. As an example, first I did what everyone else was doing, which was the quote unquote common solution, right? But it didn't work. But then I found the uncommon solution and things started to come together, right? And that uncommon solution, just as just so you guys know, it's foreshadowing that your product, your service, your coaching, whatever it is the uncommon solution. Okay, it's that mess becomes your message type of thing, right? Like, this is the problem that you were having, and this is what you figured out, the uncommon solution that finally worked for you, and now that's what you show or teach, or this is the how, right? So you're going to share your successes as well and why you're the expert now, but only after you've also done this sort of empathy bridge to where they feel connected to you. Okay. Okay. Number 3 is the main content and value. And the idea behind this is that you're going to start to connect with people on a now a logic level. So the connecting with you via your story is the way that you connect emotionally from your heart, right? But now you're going to share the content. The content is going to be more logical. It's going to be, oh, he's basically, now he or she is telling me this is the uncommon solution, but now why this works so effectively. Now I get it. Okay, I'm in my, now I see the results in front of me, right? So this is where you need to start to share maybe a trend or stats and data, market research to support your case. You know, you appeal to logic basically. So, and for us, when we started doing this, we would show like that everybody's using webinars, Fortune 500 companies, you know, the government industry entities are using it, and so on and so forth. So we started to do that when we were doing using the same methodology in some of our webinars. So get to the content part, start to reveal that uncommon solution. Okay. Now, as a continuation, show insights into the uncommon solution. Show them what it is and why it's going to benefit them. Right. Start to reveal true value through a process or flow. This also reveals the hope. Right. What they can why it's going to benefit them, right? So you get granular. So if there's a flow or process you want to show them that make them say like, wow, I feel like I just got so much value. As an example, when I had my YouTube course, my course on YouTube was all about how to get ranking in Google through YouTube. And I do a webinar, and I'd show people, actually I'd show them how to use Google YouTube ads that were like absolutely no cost, and get people and get your videos found in Google ahead of anyone else without having to spend money on the video ads, right? So you create a video ad with like basically nothing and it would show up. Anyway, when I'd show them this process, people were like, whoa, that's awesome. So I took them away from my slides, show them the value, the meat of it, and brought them back into promoting my course, right? That's number 3. And number 4 is the close and pitch. So as soon as you start to do all this, and by the way, this is a webinar, this is the flow for selling off of a webinar, right? Basically, selling off of a webinar, this is not necessarily about doing a high ticket sales webinar. I do have a training on that if you guys want to know what that looks like. Actually, here, I'm going to post this com/webinar consult. If you guys want to get clear as to how to sell high ticket off a webinar, that's the link you should go to. Register for the webinar there. That is a streamed automated webinar workshop that we push through Facebook, Instagram, and from that, people sign up. And from that, you can also schedule a call with someone on our team. But if you want to see the flow and of what we do for a high ticket funnel, that's the link to go to right there. But in for what we're teaching right now, we are literally talking about how to sell off a webinar using the 6-step framework. So number 4 is the closing the pitch. And this is where you start to reveal the how, right? You've already talked about what the product is, the uncommon solution, and why it's so valuable. But now you're going to reveal the how they're going to be able to implement it, right? You have the solution, right? The solution is your product. So it's easy. Now you're like, no, I've showed you what it is that you can do and why it's so beneficial. Now let me show you how you can actually make it effective, get yourself successful in as short as 45 days, 60 days, whatever you want to say. And this is where you start to say, enter my product, right? And now you highlight the products, the product or course or services benefit of the benefit. So not just, the features of the tool, like which we'll talk about features of our software, but more so we like to highlight why those features are so powerful based on what we see they can do for people in a bigger sense, right? The bigger picture element. So as such, as an example, automated webinars are pre-recorded sessions that stream in real time. But the true benefit of the benefit is they allow you to step outside of working in the business, right? You can work on the business, not in the business, and you can scale up. And we have people that are, doing 6 figures a month where they're out and they're traveling and they wake up and they check their PayPal, they check their e-commerce, and they've made, $4,000 or $5,000 in one night, right? Or one day. And they can just do what they want. They have more time, freedom to spend with their families, focus on some of the projects that they've always wanted to focus on, write more, meditate more, be better to their bodies, spend more time with their kids. That is the goal for us when we are for why we've created this product, right? We want to do that for people. We want to create a system for people that does it at the highest level of integrity, so that people can step away from what their day to day is and focus on the projects that make sense for them, and then come in and just keep refining and making this process better and better and better, right? So that's the benefit of benefit. Now, the other thing you want to do is start to talk about testimonials or case studies. Now, I know I said different from case studies because testimonials are people that actually use your product or program. Those are the difference. That's the difference between a case study. Case study could be anybody who has maybe used something around the uncommon solution. So, like as an example, my uncommon solution when I would do these webinars is that webinars were the thing that would make the difference between selling or not selling. And I'd share like this company is using webinars, or Mari Smith is using webinars. And I would literally have these people. Now, Mari Smith was not my client at the time. I interviewed her and she told me her secret weapon was running webinars, right? And so that's an example of a case study. But testimonials are different. Testimonials are people that have actually had results from your program. And in a minute, I'm going to share like hundreds of I'm not going to be able to go through hundreds, but I'm going to share several testimonials that we have from people that are using Easy Webinar every single day, and allowing them to scale up their marketing and their business. And it's pretty awesome. But that's the difference, okay? Now, bonuses. You also want to start to share bonuses, and bonuses are great because they are things that will fill the gap of what your program or product is. So if your program is a software like ours, webinars, our bonuses become things that are like teaching you how to use YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn to basically generate sales, right? Or traffic that will then you can back end people into a webinar, right? So bonuses should fill the gap of what your product is. And then finally, a call to action. You do a price breakdown. You say, listen, this is the reason to come in right now. And here's the breakdown of the pricing that you're going to be getting. Here's the value. So we have bonus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All total, the bonuses are valued at X. We have the product is valued at X. But right now, you can get the whole product on the bonuses, everything together for this, right? For this level. And that's powerful because it helps them to see the value proposition, right? So do the breakdown. And then of course, if you're selling a product or course and it's digital, you can of course add a money back guarantee For coaching, I would not say to have a 30-day money back guarantee, but for a product, I would say definitely you can have a 30-day money back guarantee. But for coaching, you should probably make it a little different, because if you're doing one-on-one coaching, you really want to think about what your time is valued at, right? So really consider this. Anyway, that's number. This is just able to join. Okay, Marie, welcome. So the strategy number 5 is the Q&A, right? So after you do the reveal, after you do the offer, you're going to create a Q&A. You're going to do the Q&A, and here's the Q&A should do this basically. It should answer your audience's questions about their product. It should handle their concerns and objections as well. So, like, if someone's like, you know, well, I have Zoom, I don't know if I need to get Easy Webinar. Then what's the benefit of using Easy Webinar instead of Zoom? Then I would go in and explain that, like, well, Easy Webinar has the automated webinar funnels that you can build out. That's how people are really using our system. Our live stream application competes with Zoom. You can have up to 4 presenters in the room, HD camera, yada yada, pushing offers, questions, all that, all the cool stuff. But also at the same time, things that Zoom doesn't have, which is the automated webinar experience, and so on and so forth, right? The automation, the integrations, and of course, we can stream to both Facebook and YouTube Live from our live system as well. So, like, that's how I would do that, and that's what you'd want to do, right? Now, the other thing you can start to do is reveal a fast action bonus. So if there's a thing you want to get people to encourage people to get while they're on the workshop, that's what you do here, right? You say, listen, while you're on this call, I got something for you. Okay. I've got something for you while you're on this call. It's a fast action. You can only get it right now. Can you stream to Facebook and Facebook Live at the same time? Well, no, only it's Facebook Live. That's the only thing you would stream into, Marie, is Facebook Live. Our system, you push to Facebook Live or YouTube Live at the same time or individually. But that's what I'm doing right now. I'm literally inside of Facebook Live right now. You'd also then congratulate buyers. Okay, so if you have people that are buying, you say, hey, thank you so much. We have Joan, Ralphie, Rebecca, Simon, Horatio. I'm just naming off the craziest names. That was what I meant to ask. Thanks, no problem. And so you start to congratulate buyers and maybe even show them the back end of what they are doing, like the next steps. If they're not existing customers yet, you show them next steps, right? Now, this should last about 10 to 15 minutes, this Q&A process, right? From there, I kind of like to, and this is kind of what our Q&A breakdown page would look like, right? Where we'd have literally a timer here. The timer would go off, okay? And then it would encourage people to buy. The first 15 people who come through, they get X, Y, and Z. And you can do all this with Easy Webinar, and you can do this also with automated webinars too, using Easy Webinar. That's the cool thing, is that you have the ability to push off scarcity, meaning limited options to people where they have to take action right now, and even in an automated setting, okay? Because we have, as I said, replay pages that expire based on when anybody comes into the funnel, comes into the webinar, whether that's coming in and doing it at a date based, or coming in and doing it literally at evergreen. What do you use to make the slide type pages? So I personally will use, use a Keynote, but you can use PowerPoint, Keynote, Canva works. There are all sorts of stuff. And here's a cool thing. So just so you guys know, just so everybody knows, if you're interested, I'm going to make an offer today. And on that offer, I'm going to get you access. I can get you access right away into Elite Webinar Mastery, the foundation program, which will so this is a program we created that basically has, that teaches you basically everything you're going to want to know about getting started with webinars. So what software do you need, how to get started on PowerPoint or Keynote, what have you, the different marketing tools you need. It teaches, again, the 6-step framework in a different teaching where I share the slides as we go, and so on and so forth. It helps you to understand your audience, to better then create the right message when you do your webinars, and All that is in our foundation program of Elite Webinar Mastery, which is a bonus if you guys take action today and come into a specific package. But before we do that, I'm going to finish this up, and then we can go into that information. So, final action item is number 6, and the whole idea behind this is that you again thank the buyers for coming in, ask them to stick around to look at the back end of the product, and this is where you actually start to have your final messaging, like such as there are 2 things you can do right now. We just gave you enough information to go take action to do this stuff yourself. Or you can come through and implement it at a much faster rate, which in turn will produce a greater result in a shorter period of time. So come on through. I guarantee you're going to have faster results when you come through us. Basically, it's basically putting a button on the webinar, right? Do you offer a done for you for building webinar funnels? Yes, Bill, it's something that we do offer. So if you have questions on it, just send an email to casey@easywebinar.com. So these are the 6 steps, you guys. These are the 6 steps to a high converting sales webinar. Now, I typically go in and start to talk about scalability with webinars. We go into talking about automated webinars. And I'm assuming many of you, though, are existing easy, have seen maybe some of my webinars out there before. You've been privy to seeing some of the results that we've had with Easy Webinar. But what I'm going to do right now is, I'm going to share with you some of the reasons that people can scale up using our system. See, uh, automated webinars are the scalable tool, right? There and there's still a bit of unclarity as to what they are. An automated webinar is a pre-recorded video streamed in real time. The awesome thing about them is that you create it once and it can work for you over and over again. And an automated webinar can be scheduled in your attendees' time zone. So if you have a worldwide audience, that means you'll get more leads and sales. And an automated webinar allows you to create the perfect presentation and create a full-blown successful funnel built around engagement. And a good automated webinar can stream an event in real time with the look and feel of being live and in your attendees' time zone. And they are way more valuable than just a replay. The difference is a replay is something anyone can come to at any time, which has no commitment at all, right? So when do you use automated webinars? Well, basically, you can use them for anything. Let's say that you're for organic traffic. What I always like to show is this is my favorite, driving paid ads to an automated webinar. This flow works great. It works great for our clients, but you can also have an automated webinar set up. It becomes your engine, basically your funnel, your engine, the thing that does the selling, the thing that does the qualifying, all the above, and you drive anybody to it. In fact, we started doing more organic traffic and more organic stuff on Instagram, and we get people that go straight into that webinar from the bio of my Instagram all the time. And it's a great way to just automatically have something set up. This would be perfect. I have a virtual assistant agency that provides support to coaches and speakers with all aspects of their webinar and podcast. That's awesome, Marie. Yeah. Well, the cool thing is we do have elements of a reseller in the back end of Easy Webinar. So if you come into Easy Webinar, you can actually buy once you come into a package. Let's say you get the standard account of Easy Webinar, you can buy a reseller license at 75% off once you come in the back. That gives you the ability to be the super admin and then have someone get whoever your client is, they get their own account, their own standard Easy Webinar account, right? Standard package Easy Webinar account that you can oversee and you can log into and do anything. So, and then if you get the pro, you still get that 70% discount when you buy a reseller, but that you push your audience you can push whomever into that pro. Okay. So whatever you get access to, yes, you get all their stats, you get all the logins, you basically can go to any of those sessions and you can build them out or have them build them out, depending on what you want to do, but you are in control. So you can effectively charge whatever you want for it, right? No, there is no A/B testing with Easy Webinar. However, you can test. What you can do is you can use our registration widget and put it on different pages, and that can test landing page options. So you can do that basically with our system, or use our registration pages and a third-party registration page at the same time by having one that is ours, the landing page, and then take the widget and put it on a different reg page. But we don't automatically do A/B testing. Automated webinar are great, are great to work in email campaigns to promote your live events. That's also very true. That's also extremely true. And so this is the kind of the flow we like to use, and I've used this flow before many times over. Paid traffic, send them to a webinar registration form, give them a high quality presentation. You sell your products and services, right? We've done that for many different clients many times. So John Lee Dumas is someone who's used Easy Webinar, and I remember talking to John, and he was having a problem because he was problem. I don't know if it was a problem, but he was doing live webinars and doing only live webinars, getting a little burnt out. And of course, it was a good problem to have. He did 1.5 million in just doing live webinars, but he wanted to create something specific. Can we drop a buy button at a specific time? Yes, of course, absolutely. Does Easy Webinar tell me how long attendees stay on the webinar? Yes, it does. So with John, we built an automated webinar funnel that allowed him to drop from one webinar a week to one webinar a month, and then still supplement his revenue to match basically what he was doing when he was running 4 live webinars a week, a month. Now the problem is John wasn't selling anytime on. He was mostly selling on his live webinars, not necessarily as much on his replay and so on and so forth. And so we put this into effect. It leveraged his time more, and he could focus more on doing other actions in the business, but the revenue stayed the same. Here's another person. There we go. So there's Dale Partridge, who after about 16 days did 10 days did 16,000, and after about 30 days did 100,000 using Easy Webinar and leveraging the automated webinar side of things. In fact, John Lee Dumas created an organic auto webinar podcasting funnel, which I think is really cool, where he'd had the free podcast course. And from the you come into the free podcast course and you get a series of emails where you'd get delivered a podcast sort of video, right? And it was like a 5-minute video. But in the emails, it would also encourage people to come into the automated webinar to get the full experience. And what people would do is they'd go in and they'd go into the automated webinar and purchase directly from the automated webinar. And I remember in when we because we've been doing automated webinars for a bit, right? So I remember when there was an article that came out in Segmetrics in 2016 or something like that, and it was all about Easy Webinar. It was all about John Lee Dumas's automated webinar flow and how qualified those leads were, and how those leads were 243% higher quality than the people that did not come through the automated webinar, meaning that the people that came through the automated webinar were more qualified to buy, right? In fact, they were $81. The lead was $81 per. That was the value of that specific lead, right? And so 243% higher than leads who didn't go through the automated webinars, which means that if they just went through a PDF or just signed up for the course alone, but didn't necessarily go through the automated webinar, they weren't as qualified. And so the webinar experience creates a qualifier and a deeper connection with your audience, which will, if it's not directly attributed to selling your product, it will help with selling your product, right? Whether it's the second touch or third touch point, but that someone has in connecting with you. And so here's another example. This is somebody who actually had results straight out of the gate, and in a service business, and in a highly regulated industry, which is finance. So he was targeting. He came to me, and this is one of our clients. And you asked me, have we ever built webinar funnels? And this is one of them. He said, I would really like to target IBM employees that have 401k plans. And I was like, okay, we can do that. And so we created a webinar flow so that he could basically become he would take over their accounts, right? He would handle their assets as a financial advisor. And so we put this out on Facebook, the promo, which kind of looked exactly like this, with him next to the ad, and he's all in his brand, and it would drive people. The message was, is your IBM 401k safe, right? And that was the message. Drove them into an automated webinar registration page where it continued on with that message, and then drove them to a thank you page which said, hey, join me for this webinar, or you're registered, show up to the event, it's going to be amazing. The people show up, it shows 20 minutes of a session, like 20-minute, it was a 20-minute webinar. And then from that webinar, he would get them into a strategy call. And literally on one of his first calls, yeah, so that's hard to read. Can you, I don't know if you can, you know what you can do? You should be able to, I wonder if you can zoom in on it. Well, I'll read. How about I read it for you? Okay. The third box says this. It said, gentlemen, we have hit a home run. I had my first call with a webinar participant today, and it went so well. He has over 2 million in assets. Love the way I branded and marketed my services. Thought the ad and the webinar were very well done, and I'm sure he's going to sign up with me. I'm now going to do his risk profile and match his portfolio for him. Thank you for taking my vision and making it a reality. And so that was one of his first calls that he ever made, and that call turned into a client. So about that this is literally 9 days into having his ad up, right? That he closed this person into managing his $2 million portfolio, which ended up turning into $15,000 in recurring revenue a year. And he also sold him into like a 1K per year. Is there a way to increase the size of your slides? You can expand the video. I think if you just take you can expand the size by just taking the corner of the actual yeah, of the actual thing itself and just make it bigger. For me, no, I can't personally, but you can actually make this larger, the screen. So you should be able to see that. No problem. So basically, why add market automation to your webinar funnel? Well, the whole idea is that this saves you time, energy, and money, and that's a system. You need a system, right? And there are so many people that had some wonderful results with Easy Webinar. Here's Jason Caruso, who ran a webinar. He ran an automated webinar at one specific time. It wasn't evergreen where it was scheduled every single day, multiple times a day. He only said, I'm going to run this webinar May 10th, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. That's when he ran it. And it was streamed out, but it was pre recorded. He wasn't having to be, he didn't have to show up. And he did $14,000 in sales right off of that. Right. And are most evergreen pretending to be live, or do people know it's a replay? Here's the thing, Bill. And this is another reason why I think it's important to gravitate towards the right product. We we have some of the most high integrity users using our system, from Jay Shetty, Bob Proctor, Amy Porterfield, and so on and so forth. Just wonderful people who have high integrity that really put value first. The reason they use our system is because we try to show that automated webinars can have a level of engagement authenticity without being fake and phony. So what we encourage people to do is say, hey, this is a streamed workshop, but in fact it plays in real time. So if if someone says this is streamed live, it is streamed live. If you come late, you're going to miss some of it, but it's pre-recorded, streamed live, right? No, we do have an option to watch the replay. You can set it up to go instant replay. We call it kind of an instant replay now. So it's instant replay that you can do if you wanted to. But the thing is, we encourage people to not say that it's live when it's not. A lot of people don't even realize that it's not live, though. That's the thing about it, is that many people don't even know that it's not live. But we don't. But you have every option to tell people, listen, this is not live. It's pre-recorded. But the experience is in fact live. So that's why we wanted to make sure we created a tool that would stream in real time with the experience of live, so that you wouldn't feel like your integrity wasn't being challenged, right? We want to put you in the best position for your people, right? So if you say it's streamed in real time, it is, because that's what our system does. No matter where they're watching, right? It's always going to be streamed in real time. So anyway, That's what we do. And the whole reason we do this is because it allows you to do the things that you love in this world. We want to free up your time, right? We want to free up your time. So right now, guys, I'm going to stop the presentation inside Facebook or YouTube. If you want to come into the room, I'm going to make an offer that's an irresistible offer inside the room, but only inside the room. I'm not going to make it live on Facebook. Okay. And I'm also going to get completely naked. So I should probably do that in Facebook or YouTube as well. So just kidding. I'm not going to get naked, but I wonder how many people would have decided to jump in. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to stop the broadcast in Facebook and YouTube. So thank you guys who are watching inside there, but feel free to come into the room. We're doing it where we're going to go and talk